Cooking safely, yes. Right, yeah. That's my final answer. Cooking safely. I'm terrible.
I'm a straight donation station in Jupiter.
If you're low on cash, call Saw Hit.
Give us a moment, FP. Give us a moment. Right in the middle.
Can we just please stop saying this a moment ago?
Subtle signs that you're playing with a stick.
A bag? You want me to be intimidated by a f***ing bag? What is up, golf sickos? We have an absolutely massive show for you guys. You know, sometimes in this sport, you know, we do these shows twice a week. We do them every week. Sometimes you get bangers. You know, we have a banger for you this week. I'm joined by my man Ben Buskovich. I noticed you're wearing the all black.
That's right, for Shane.
So I was going to say, Shane Lowry wears all black. Is it an homage to Shane, or is it an all black because you're in mourning after?
It's both.
It's both.
It's an homage and a sad day.
Yeah, so we're going to go over that. We're going to go over the Cognizant Don't Say Honda Classic. We have a box office interview with Brandel Chamblee, his second time on the show. Talking big topics only. Calling it Big Topics with Brandel Chamblee. We have Nico Echavarria on the show, fresh off his third win on the PGA Tour. We have a social media star, private equity guy on the show. I just wanted to catch up with him about, you know, what's going on in golf. I feel like golf and private equity, there's a lot of overlap there. Oh, yeah. And we have an official statement from our dear friend, Willie Wilcox, finally back on tour. Sungjae Im's wrist is healed, at least healed enough to play at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard this week. So very exciting stuff. But we will start, of course, with the drama at PGA National. So it was a sure bet for Shane Lowry. We were getting loose on the watch along. We were talking about other things. We were firing up ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You know, kind of educating our viewers. And then it wasn't. Just a brutal last 45 minutes for a friend of the program and a personal friend. It was hard to watch. How about, I saw this stat. The first time in Shane Lowry's career on the PGA Tour that he made back-to-back double bogeys.
Wow.
Isn't that insane?
Wow. And
they showed a stat. He played 35 holes before that without a bogey or worse, and then he made two worses.
The card was flawless.
That's what you were saying on the watch along, and you were 100% right. It was a tournament winner's scorecard. It was 3 birdies and an eagle. He had made a couple of really big par saves. I think he had made 5 putts outside of 10 feet, and you're just like, okay, he's going to win the tournament. And then he hit 2 of the worst shots with an iron that you will see a professional golfer hit. A total and complete collapse. I'm not going to use the other C word. Not that one. Sickos.
Neither of them.
But that was close to that. It was that. I'm not going to say it, but it was that. Yeah, there's really no way to describe it except for, I think, you know, one of the cool things about the watch along, many cool things, you guys participating and me getting to be in the chat is awesome. But one of the other cool things about the watch along is you get to see our reactions to big moments in real time. So let's roll that clip of us watching Shane Lowry just blow it. Good for you, buddy. That means a lot.
Oh, Shane just pushed it.
I think that's in the water. That is in the water from Shane Lowry, and I think he might have to re-tee. Oh my goodness, with an iron in his hand, what a miss. Oh man, he was going for position. That thing was so fucking far right. Where did that cross? Brutal shot too. He's on a downslope. We caught it nice. What a lovely shot from Shane Lowry.
Had to.
Big time shot there from Shane Lowry. Just get out of here with a double. He does. What an up and down. All right, Shane. He looks like he's setting up left for the cut. It starts right to the water.
Fuck.
Oh my god.
That's tough.
That was the same shot he hit on.
It was the same one.
That was the same shot that he hit on 16.
Not even just like...
Look at him, dude. He's crestfallen. It hits even harder this morning, doesn't it?
Our heads ended up in our hands really quick there.
Well, we were, you know, you could see I love the edit. Shout out to Alex and Ryan. I don't know who edited that. I think it was Alex, but they kept us being, we were pally. You had said, someone was like, thanks, bro. Like, we're marching to victory.
You know, see the transition.
I'm starting to like write my questions for Shane in the winter interview. No, sir. But one man's trash is another man's treasure, as they say. And that opened the door for Nico Echavarria, who's also a good friend of the program. We had him on the show last year for our pre-Masters episode. And I remember he told the story. He said that he might have played the fastest round of golf ever at Augusta National. Remember, he played by himself in the morning, and he said he played Augusta National in 2 hours and 40 minutes. Nico did not have his best stuff, but he stuck in, you know, and he got a bit fortunate on 17. So, the par 3 where Shane did not get fortunate, but he hit the bad shot, so there's no luck involved there. Nico was trying to hit it about 20 feet left of the flag, but he cut it, and it kind of overcut, and it just carried on to the green. But, you know, sometimes when you do that, you find a portion of the green that leaves the easiest putt there. And he had a 10-footer straight up the hill, which he rolled in with authority, as you aptly pointed out, and hit the back of the cup, gave it a vamos and then a come on, kind of flexing his bilinguality, which is awesome. And then when Shane hit it in the piss again on 17, as we just saw, Nico had a 2-shot lead, and he made a safe par on 18 to get the job done. So it's his 3rd win on tour. He actually closed on a house in Palm Beach Gardens early in the week, just down the road. So pretty damn good way to start, buying a new house. Great week.
Off real quick.
3 wins also means, he said this in the interview with Cara Banks, that he's getting a dog. I guess he promised his wife Claudia, who's a lovely, lovely person, that they're gonna get a dog. They're trying to start a family soon. It's a good time to be the Echavarrias. And we caught up with Nico after his win. Enjoy our chat with Nico Echavarria.
Danny boy.
I'm very proud of you. You've won 3 times now. First time in America. Does this one feel a little more significant?
Well, Puerto Rico is
okay
as America,
right? That's fair. Okay, I want to take that back. That's a hot button issue.
You got to know your geography.
In the continental 48.
Yeah. First time, and it's also special. It's where I'm gonna live for a long time. I hope. This place is so cool, with a lot of golf, a lot of people that live here that I know. Closer to Claudia's family, so it's a good move to win my first in the United States tournament and do it here.
So walk me through 17, because we were watching, we were doing our stream. It looked like it started on a perfect line. When it looked like it was cutting, and I was very concerned. Did you start it on the right line? Did you think it was going to cover? Was it dicey?
At one point, we were discussing between 6 and 7 iron. The 6 iron had to be very chippy, and with the adrenaline, you want to hit something more full. The problem is that it's the hardest win in golf. It's into off the left. You can hit a lot of different shots. You can hold it up there. You can cut it, but it's gonna drift. It's 166 into the wind. I was trying to hit it at the middle of the back bunker, and I think I pushed it just a hair, but it was hit solid, and the wind crushed it left to right. When the ball was over the pin, I thought, like, okay, it's going to be good, and then it moved right of the pin, and it's like, oh, we're in trouble. And I'm glad it covered by very, very little.
I mean, so you're 3 shots back, and then chaos ensues behind you. Did you feel like you were still in it? I mean, how did you learn of Shane's, struggles down the stretch? Did you just hear it? I mean, I know it's loud down there. Did you just kind of hear the groans? And is it hard in that moment to go from being the chaser to, coming down the last, you're the chased?
To be honest with you, I thought the tournament was over when he was playing 14. I know that the course is not easy, but having a 3-shot lead, with 4 to go is a lot. So I thought, okay, we're playing for second place. Taylor burned some edges, and I knew he was 3rd right behind me. He burned some edges on 15, and he hit a good putt on 16. And then I hit a great putt to 2-putt on 16, and they tell me that Shane got in a little trouble off the tee. He was going to make, so I figured he's probably going to make double bogey. So we're still back in it. It didn't change anything for the 17 tee shot. The shot's always going to be the same, 20 feet left, and it wasn't 20 feet left after the result. And then we're walking from 17 to 18. I'm very hyped up, so I have to bring the energy down. The adrenaline is rushing all over. I did a little bit of box breathing, and to settle down, I hit a pretty decent tee shot. Holes playing into the wind, and when we're walking, my caddy Fabian tells me that he hit it in the water on 17 again. It's like, well, that's probably going to be a double bogey again. We're going to have a 1-shot lead, a 2-shot lead. If we make par, we're most likely going to win the event, and that's what we did. We played to make par. The layup was a little tricky. You could hit 7 iron into the wider part, or you can hit. I ended up hitting 5 iron to play with the rough into the wind. I didn't like to have something that would spin up to have distance control. I wanted to have something that's far up as I can, and it was in the rough. It was pretty decent lie, and I was aiming 20 feet left and just 2-putted.
Oh, wait, so how does that work? So a guy just walks up to you and says, "Hey, Shane hit it in the water." Like, did you ask somebody? I'm curious, like, how that actually happens the first time.
No, the NBC guys, you have a good relationship with them, and I didn't ask anything. They just told me, "Hey, Shane just hit it in the water on the last off the tee shot on 16." It's like, oh, this tournament's back on.
So I'm going to do a little bit of advocating for Claudia here. So you closed on a golf course, or you closed on a golf course. You closed on a house and you win the same week. I think, it's only natural that you have to close on a house every week that you play, because until you don't win a tournament.
Yeah, houses are expensive though.
I did want to ask, you started in Jacksonville. It feels like there's this magnet from to Jupiter. Like once you get to, multiple tour winner, what went into the decision to move down?
We're trying to start a family. We got married 3 months ago. Her family lives an hour away in Fort Lauderdale, and it's just too far to drive up to Jacksonville. It's almost 4 to 5 hours. So we wanted to be somewhere closer to them, see them more. Maybe whenever we have kids, hopefully soon. They're going to be a lot of help with the amount of traveling we do.
Last question, very important question. I saw the leak of the Seminole Pro member. You got a 7:15 a.m. tee time tomorrow. Are we showing up to that, or are we going to celebrate and maybe see if we make it?
I don't know. It's a tough decision. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. What do you think I should do?
I think you got to celebrate tonight. Show up. I don't know. I mean, you are playing a bunch of big tournaments coming up. I'm not on the PGA Tour. I would probably send it tonight and have a little hungover round of golf at one of the greatest golf courses on the planet tomorrow. But you make your own decisions.
We'll see.
I appreciate it, man. Congratulations. Enjoy it. Augusta coming up. Really good stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's almost not unfortunate, but Nico's such a good guy and he's a friend of the show. So I feel bad that it's so much of the story is Shane's collapse. What did you you're an emotional guy. What did you make of kind of the roller coaster yesterday?
It made it harder to watch when it's not just a guy you're rooting for, but that you feel like I don't have a personal relationship with Shane. He's only ever roasted my swing.
Yeah, he said you hit a wipey fade, which wipey fades, in the news recently with golf.
There was some trouble with wipey fades yesterday. Yeah, no, but I know how close you guys are and how good he's been to you. So and how long it had been since he won.
Mm-hmm.
He's blue chip, right? We describe him as blue chip. Blue chip guys, they do close out the tournament on 14 when they have a 3-shot lead. So it's the relationship, it's the expectation. It's golf. Man, I'm still thinking about it.
I was surprised that he stepped to the microphone after the round. I thought, he was not super enthused when a camera guy got kind of too close for comfort. You shoot him away, which I thought was funny. Yeah, I mean, Shane wears his heart on his sleeve, but he did step to the mic. I mean, he runs hot. He's an emotional player, but he did. He talked, and here's Shane Lowry talking to the press after the round.
I'm obviously extremely disappointed. I had the tournament in my hands and I threw it away. What more can I say? It's twice this year now so far, so I'm getting good at it, but couldn't feel the club face in the last 3 holes then after my tee shot on 16. It was strange, but what can I say? It's very, very disappointing. Jeez, this is going to be hard to take. The hardest thing about today is I've never won in front of my 4-year-old, and she was there waiting for me, and yeah, that's what I only wanted it for her today. I didn't want it for her. I don't care about anything else. I wanted it so bad. Just to see her little ginger head running out in the 18 green would have been the most special thing in the world. But
I think his 4-year-old daughter probably doesn't love him anymore. That's my takeaway.
Oh man,
yeah. Tough, just a tough one. There was a lot of this yesterday on the watch long. We were just kind of
this is what it is. It's head in hands, oh man.
He wanted it so bad. You could tell he was almost on the verge of tears there. But the good thing about golf is there's always next week, and Shane's playing 5 in a row. He was the only kind of blue chipper that didn't pull out of the Cognizant Don't Say Honda Classic. But he's playing this week at Bay Hill. I think he also played the Seminole Pro member, which is also very funny. He's playing with Ed Hurley, who was one of the architects of the initial framework agreement with Jimmy Dunn. It was Jimmy Dunn and Ed Hurley that made that deal. So they they go way back. They're playing with Rory and Rory's dad.
Yeah.
I do wonder what that first tee conversation is like with Ed Hurley. Hey, Shane, That sucked yesterday. You know, like what do you say in that
I think
scenario?
everybody's probably walking up to him today with some sort of condolence too. I want to hear is the conversation between him and Rory today, because they're the only ones that can talk to each other about like what went through his mind on those 2 holes. Because think about it, like we've each had our fair share of collapses on the golf course. We've documented some of your recent ones here. Like
I shot 68 on Friday. There was no collapse. Thank you.
Right.
Keep moving.
How do you play 14, 15 holes of such perfect golf and then like not feel the club face all of a sudden? Like what?
Yeah, and he was actually, you know, he also said after the round, he was talking to his caddy about, you know, how do I feel like this when I went through what I went through at Bethpage in September and I was fine. You know, I don't know what Shane does for his mental game, but clearly there was some, you know, I'm sure Izzy Justice was watching that with keen interest to, you know, do some neuro hacks, do something, because, you know, I thought after he got up and down, that was a nasty up and down for double on 16. I thought, okay, he's gonna hit this in the center of the green. He's gonna, nope. It shook him to his core, and that was very obvious. Another thing that happened at Cognizant that shook the subject to its core was Ryan Gerard hit a bird. So
shook the subject.
Can we show the clip? Let's roll the clip.
Brillo pad, but it's pretty strictly overseeded now. The ball almost hit a bird. People say, "Oh shoot! I thought I saw something fly right in front of his ball." Good swing, no.
Oh, did a little research on this because we were talking on the watch along. You know, there was a lot of comparisons to the Randy Johnson clip from 20 something years ago when Randy Johnson throws a fastball and the bird literally explodes.
That bird didn't make it.
The Randy Johnson bird is no longer with us. Pour one out for the Randy Johnson bird. But I did a little research on this because I was so curious. How do you hit a bird and hit it perfectly pin high? But that reverse angle, the truth was in that reverse angle. So I went on Reddit, and I believe Reddit solved the mystery. So shout out to Golf Ball Whacker Guy on Reddit.
Golf Ball Whacker Guy.
It was the divot that hit the bird. Yeah. It was the divot that hit the bird because the bird kept flying. And that ball was launched at probably 130 miles an hour. Whereas Randy Johnson's fastball was 98 miles an hour, and that literally exploded the bird.
Divot's probably going 75.
Yeah, but it's a piece of grass, so it's a lot. It's a lot softer, and so the divot hit the bird. That's how the ball wasn't impacted, the flight of the ball, and that's how the bird escaped mostly unharmed. So just a little update for you guys. It was the divot that hit the bird.
I thought maybe the bird took a little spin off the ball because you can see it didn't really bite when it hit.
Yeah, like sometimes when you hit a tree and it's sort of like gets a little overspin, or like when you hit the bench the other week at Brentwood. And then there was a ton of overseed talk. So all week we were talking about how easy the golf course was going to play. I'll tell you how I feel about an overseeded PGA National.
Utter woke nonsense. And the winning score was 17 under. Probably should have been 19 under had Shane not puked. But Billy Horschel, always outspoken, and he was outspoken about what he feels. It should be all Bermuda. And in this day and age, when you say something spicy, it gets around, and the crowd knows, and they know immediately. You don't have to wait till the Monday magazine article to see the pros' comments. You see them on social media. So the crowd let him have it. So he hit a chip shot in the water on Friday, and then I think they were chanting overseed. Let's watch the clip.
Yeah, I think all week.
Okay.
I mean, I guess you guys want to make yourself feel good about yourself with a comment like that, don't you? Complaints about your course. I thought it's been pretty good, my man. Okay. At least we're here now. Maybe you should read the entire comment.
One more word, you're good go. It's that simple.
Come on, Billy. Can I go back to the doctor?
I love that. Maybe read the entire comments. That's not how social media works.
No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how social media works.
I like Billy Ho. He's one of my favorite guys. You can't show him that you're hurt.
No.
Don't show him that it hit you in the feels.
100%. You just take it on the chin. And then he talked about it after the round. Let's roll that.
Listen, everyone's been saying, overseed. Wasn't the first time I heard it today, but obviously in that situation, I hit a bad golf shot and they wanted to say it. And I just said, who said that or whatever. And, a guy sort of said a couple more things and said I was bad-mouthing their golf course and couldn't be the furthest from the truth. I've praised this golf course for many, many years. And if I didn't like this golf course, I wouldn't come here and play every year. I wanted to make sure I didn't inform him on that. I just said maybe you should be more informed in the situation. And the officers came up to me after I walked off 16 and said we kicked him out. And I said I didn't ask for him to be kicked out. And said, no, I guess he's been saying some other stuff throughout the day, and they proceeded to just escort him out of here. So listen, everyone has a right to say things. I think there's just a level of respect that, when somebody's trying to do their job, understand, we're trying to do a job out here.
I actually didn't realize this in the moment, but this was the same tournament back when it was the Don't Say Honda Classic that Justin Thomas went, enjoy your day, buddy, you're gone. That was, which is the greatest chirp, one of the greatest player to fan, enjoy your day, buddy, you're gone. JT took a lot of heat for that, but maybe there's something in the water down there in Palm Beach Gardens. So some other finishes that we want to highlight. Austin, you're calling him Smotherman Brotherman, which I love.
My brother, the Smother.
It's a great nickname. I think a future Dankings will be best tour nicknames
Big
because
time.
Smotherman Brotherman is fantastic. He finished tied for second. Previous best finish on tour was a tie for fifth, so big week for him. Ricky Castillo.
Don't say Castillo.
Crazy that's his name. We were talking about this on the watch along. It certainly was Castillo at some point. And I think, someone down the line was probably beaten into submission. Like everyone was saying Castillo, and he was probably just like, okay, we'll go with Castillo, I guess. He finished solo fifth. 2 big-time T9s. So Brooks Koepka went 74, 66, 69, 65 to get his first top 10 and just his third start back. It's crazy that these guys who aren't in the big events, they've only played 3 or 4 events so far. Like Joel, I saw, who we're going to talk about in a second here, he's only played 4 events. The most encouraging thing for Brooks, I think, he gained 2.73 shots putting. He's 15th in the field. So that's big time progress with the mallet. Everyone's using a mallet. Another mallet winner. Joel Damon made 4 starts, picked up his second top 10, a tied for 9th. He missed the A on swing 5 by like a point and a half. Taylor Moore got the last spot, but he's in.
Yeah, how did he get in?
He got in because when they don't fill the field, they go through all the criteria for the signature events, which is top 30 in the world, top 50, obviously, in last year's FedEx Cup, A on swing 5, next 10. But then if there's a couple extra spots, they just go straight down the FedEx. And Joel, with his 2 top 10s, I think it was a tie for 7th at the Farmers and then a tie for 9th this week. He's 43rd in the FedEx Cup, so he's in, and he's also into the Players. So
Players too,
really, really good stuff. Max Homa finished tied for 13th. Then had to drive over to play TGL. So I'm sure he was just full of energy last night when he went to bed. From the not so fun angle, really tough week for the next gen, and I'm not talking about El Mencho's cartel. Luke Clinton missed the cut by 1. He's got 3 missed cuts and a withdrawal to start the year. So it's been a rough go for Luke since he turned pro. Gordon Sargent also missed the cut by 1. He's 0 for 4, missed the cut in all 4 starts this year. Neil Shipley, our boy, we might have time for an interview later in the show. I'm not sure. It's going to be tight. He shot +2. Slow start to his rookie year. He's made 1 cut so far. And then all these guys shot +5. Carl Phillips, Nick Dunlap, and Blades Brown. So yeah, it's a golf course that you got to hit it straight. Maybe that had something to do with it, but a tough week for the next generation. We are going to move into a phenomenal segment that we call the Knockaround, presented by Knockaround. These are the Mai Tais. Mai Tais. Yeah, I'm changing it up a little bit. We're going to Florida. I'm headed to Bay Hill, to Orlando, right after the show. This show is Stand on Golf, presented by Knockaround. They are our presenting sponsor. And these sunglasses are just such good quality. I got my dad some Knockarounds, and he said, I don't understand why these are so much less expensive than all the other ones. I said, I don't understand either, but you know what? Don't ask questions, just be happy.
Don't question it, just rock it.
So we have a promo code for you guys. If you go to knockaround.com/golf, you can look at all of the golf sunglasses that they have on offer. And if you use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off your order. These sunglasses are, I picked these up today. I haven't worn them in a while. These ones I'd beat up pretty good. They're perfect. They're just in perfect shape. Stop spending stupid money on sunglasses. My wife had a friend in town this weekend, and she left a pair of sunglasses, really expensive sunglasses, in an Uber, and she's distraught. And I'm saying, you know what? You wouldn't be distraught if they were $35. You just go buy a new pair. So I really don't get it. All right, we're gonna start with the Seminole Pro member. What an invite! What an invite to get. The following players, and this is just to name a few, are playing this morning in the Seminole Pro member: Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, Nicolas Echavarria, we think. I don't know. I sent him a text.
I wonder if he teed off.
Well, I sent him a text this morning and he hasn't responded. So I think he's probably, you can't really use your phone in Seminole.
He's either playing golf or he's sleeping in.
That's correct. Shane Lowry, we think. Colin Morikawa, Chris Gotterup, Sungjae Im, Ben Griffin, Sepp Straka, Ricky Fowler, Jacob Bridgman, Matt Fitzpatrick, Pearson Coody, Luke Clinton, Carl Phillips, Neil Shipley, just to name a few. You know who is not on the list? Scotty Scheffler. And I think it's so Scotty Scheffler. This guy, if it's not in his backyard,
Does he ever play this thing?
I don't know. But he's not playing it this year.
Interesting.
The U.S. Amateur, when you got a medal for winning the U.S. Amateur, it is now called the Tiger Woods Medal, which makes a lot of sense. He won that tournament 3 times. And then the U.S. Junior Trophy is also called now the Tiger Woods Trophy. he won it 3 times. So it makes a lot of sense. Speaking of Tiger, he's still not playing in TGL. You were sort of speculating, is he going to play? You know, is he going to, is this because Jupiter Links?
They got me going, yeah.
They tweeted or they posted like a stay tuned for a surprise. The surprise was that the guys were wearing red and black. The Masters is about a month away, and you know he's not comfortable enough to play simulator golf. I thought last week after he said that it's still a possibility. I've said many times Tiger Woods could run his right hand through a blender and shoot 72 at Augusta National. But he didn't look super spry yesterday.
I saw him messing around with some clubs on the sidelines, like taking some half chip swings and stuff. Like he's got to be dying to hit the ball.
I think he's cleared to hit shots. It's just Augusta, you know, to talk about old golf cliches. It's one of the hardest walks out there. It's so up and down. So we'll have to see if Tiger's gonna play the Masters. The future Walker Cup sites. I don't think this is new information, but sometimes you see a tweet and it just kind of like stops you in your tracks. 2028 Bannon Dunes. 2032 Oakmont. 2036 Chicago Golf Club. 2040 National Golf Links of America. 2044 Pine Valley Golf Club. I know it's at Lahinch this year or maybe it's next year, over in Ireland. What a list.
That's a run.
Maybe this is a peek into Cypress Point 2048. Yeah. I missed the last couple ones.
Cypress
in 2052 Seminole.
Yeah.
So Bandon, Oakmont, Chicago Golf Club, National, Pine Valley, Cypress, Seminole. Maybe this is a view into the post rollback future. But I think also an issue with these courses is they don't really have the infrastructure to like host a major tournament. But it's awesome that these tournaments, these courses that don't host pro tournaments for a variety of reasons, the Walker Cup will be there, so we'll get to see it.
Now that's what I call music all hits CD.
It is a crazy. Another sort of all hits. The Puerto Rico sponsor invite. So the Puerto Rico Open is the opposite field event this week. Joel Damon was going to play in it, but now he's in the API, so he's not playing it. They use their sponsor invites in a very cool way. They invited a bunch of the young guns. So John Daly II, we're no longer calling him Little John Daly, so don't say Little John Daly II. He's making his PGA Tour debut this week, having a nice college career at Arkansas. Miles Russell, the top junior in the country, future teammate of Charlie Woods, is playing. Blades Brown, who almost shot 59 in the desert a couple weeks ago, a future star for sure. Yanhan Zhu, so this kid is from China. He's 17 years old. He already has 10 wins as a professional.
Oh, wow.
And he won the China Tour Order of Merit last year, youngest player to ever do that. Eugenio Chacarra, who made a lot of headlines. He was one of the first kind of college guys who decided to go to LIV instead of playing, trying to chase the PGA Tour out of Oklahoma State. He's since stopped with LIV, said some interesting things about LIV on the way out. Has been playing on the DP World Tour. He's in the field. And then Filip Jakubik, who is the world number 5 amateur. He's from the Czech Republic, and he's a senior at Arizona. So I'm excited to see how the young guns fare this week. Another thing that's not new information, but was just sort of a sign of the times. This photo came across my desk of Tiger, Adam Scott, Jay Monahan, and Yasir Al-Rumayyan in the Oval Office.
Wow, remember that?
You remember that? Remember how close they were to a deal? I remember when that was happening, I was getting texts being like, "This is it.
Yeah.
Like this is about to happen. They're going to come out of this meeting with a deal." And then Trump goes out and he said, "This is the hardest deal. This might be harder than the Middle East. This is an incredibly hard deal." I don't think we'll be seeing that type of meeting anytime soon. Moving over to Asia, Hannah Green, an Australian, won the HSBC Women's World Golf Championship. This is at Sentosa in Singapore, which is supposed to be one of the great golf courses in Asia. Her husband was on the bag. Yeah. So her usual caddy, I guess, had some issues with he's applying for a green card, couldn't leave the country. So her husband was on the bag. He's also a pro golfer, so congrats to Hannah. And then Casey Jarvis, down in South Africa. He's a South African, won the National Open. He's into the Open Championship.
Look at that.
He won for the second straight week, calling it the Africa Double. He won the Magical Kenya Open last week, and he won the Investec South Africa Open Championship. He's into the Open Championship, and you know who's also into the Open Championship?
Who?
Our dog of the week. Our dog of the week, I'm going to do a drum roll. Our dog of the week is Alistair Docherty. So I got to know Al very, very well when I was working at Foreplay, because I think people know the backstory by now. He's a Barstool golf athlete. I don't know if he still is, but he was for a long time. He was caddying in Scottsdale, trying to chase the dream, and he was basically out of money. And Riggs gave him $50,000 to continue chasing his dream. And this guy has had such a tough journey. It's like a what's the Greek myth where he's pushing it up a hill? Sisyphus. He's pushing up that hill. He missed his tour card by a shot at Q School. I remember like 2 guys had to make a putt that was like 8 feet, and they both made it. So he missed it by a shot. Multiple close calls in the corner. He finished second a couple weeks ago. And then he also sneaky finished second to Chris Gotterup when Chris Gotterup won his first tournament in Myrtle Beach. He got in. There's a relationship there between Myrtle Beach and Barstool from the Q and all of their content that they used to make. So he got a sponsor invite. Finished second. If you win on the PGA Tour, you're exempt for 2 years. So he was close there. And then he got in this horrendous car crash. We highlighted this on the show. I mean, look at that vehicle. Jeez. Blood everywhere. Korn Ferry Tour Pro tells story of scary car accident 6 days before qualifying for his first U.S. Open. So this guy's got grit. He finally won yesterday. He got it done. He won the Visa Argentina Open by 1 shot. First win on the Korn Ferry Tour puts him in great position to get his PGA Tour card. And he's also into the Open Championship, and he spoke about it after the round. Here's Alistair Doherty.
I'm going to get emotional talking about that. It's been a very crazy last few years. Working really hard mentally, and I think I executed everything this week mentally more than physically, and I'm so happy to be standing on top. My finishes have been kind of all over the map. It's either at the top of the leaderboard or missed cut. But a few years ago when I came up one shot short a few times, it was a lot of character building, and I went to a dark place. So to battle out of that, and working so hard with my therapist and sports psychologist, I've set myself up to try and get a PGA Tour card this year, and we're going to take it 1 week at a time and 1 shot at a time and just stick to my process. And if it works out, it works out. And I think what happened this week is showing that it will work out.
I love that he said his therapist, not just a sports psychologist.
Yeah.
I'm a therapy guy. Normalize therapy. It takes a real man to talk about his feelings. We have an official statement. It's not from me. We have an official statement from dear friend of the program, Willie Wilcox. So Sungjae is back. Willie obviously caddying for Sungjae the last couple of years. He's missed the West Coast swing because of a wrist injury. This is a guy who plays golf basically every single week. So for him to miss time, it was pretty damn bad. Willie's been on quite the run, playing golf all around the world.
Willie's doing all right in the meantime.
Doing Willie Wilcox things. But we have an official statement from Willie Wilcox. Here it is.
What's up? Finally, the wait is over. I am en route to Orlando to go loop for Sungjae in the Arnold Palmer. It's been a tough little delay. I was all, I had my flight booked to the West Coast and everything was rocking and rolling. And then that text came through on January 7th about him having a little wrist impingement. But now he's good. He's hitting balls. He's been practicing probably maybe 2 weeks almost. In the meantime, though, I spent a couple of weeks in California, played the Malbon Cup or the Buckets Cup competition, which you reported on so graciously. Just been playing tons of golf and hitting up concerts and enjoying myself. I've gotten a lot better at having time off. I've almost had 6 months, so I spend my time more efficiently and with better habits now. I'm an old man, so you got to figure it out eventually. Thanks for caring, Dan. Much love. It's Prince time. Let's go.
It's Prince time, baby.
I love that.
It's Prince time. And Bay Hill, he's coming off a pretty long layoff, but Bay Hill's a good course for Sungjae. He likes it crispy. He likes it where you have to be in control. Doesn't usually play his best in like wet, soft conditions. So hopefully a big week for Willie, and there's a lot of money to be made. Before we move into our interview with Brandel Chamblee, some personal news, some really awful news this morning. We lost the Golf Sicko community, which is a worldwide community. We lost one of our own. Brandel and I had a really dear mutual friend, Steve Lapper, who was a New Jersey kind of golf establishment. He passed away suddenly this morning, I believe, at the age of 68. It's just really hard to process when someone that you've played so much golf with, that I grew up with. He was nice enough to take me to really, really fancy country clubs when I was way too young to appreciate it. He probably, put up with me slamming my clubs and being a dick out there. to know Steve was to have strong feelings about Steve. He was one of a kind, but he fucking loves golf, man. And I know Brandel and him were very close. They had a few business ventures that they were working on together. I was texting with Brandel this morning, just a gut punch. And but I think it's sort of fitting that we have Brandel on this show because I know Steve would really enjoy watching this interview of different generations. So rest in peace to Steve Lapper. And he leaves behind his wife, Melissa, and 2 daughters, Sydney and Whitney. And there's not usually a lesson in these sort of things that are just really horrible. But if there is, it's go play that golf round. I'm sure there are other things that people do that bring people together. But, I'm so grateful for the genuine friendships and relationships that I have with people who are 30, 40 years older than I am. And that's all due to this very, very special game. So just a really, really tough one. Really tough one. I feel for my dad. I feel for his wife and his 2 daughters. I really do. But he would love this interview. So let's kick it to big topics with Brandel Chamblee. Very excited for this one. We are joined by Brandel Chamblee, a guy who needs no introduction. Second time on the show. You were on the show last year in one of our first episodes. So I really thank you for that. I'm very appreciative. I'm calling this Big Topics with Brandel. You're on television all the time and you're diving through the minutia of, this statistic and that statistic. We're going to zoom out a little bit and kind of catch up on some of the bigger topics that I think are dominating the discourse in golf today. So first one, we are moving into the Florida swing. And, we've got the Arnold Palmer Invitational. We get the Cognizant this week, then Arnold Palmer, then the Players. Now, you said that the Players Championship is already a major and that it's the hardest one to win. I don't necessarily doubt that it's the hardest one to win given the field strength. But how can something be a major if it's only open to PGA Tour players?
I don't know that it is open to. They don't have any provisions that it allows for DP World Tour players to play their way in. Do they not?
I think they've. Is there maybe like a top 100 in the world example? Well, basically what I'm getting at is how can you have a major championship, without Jon Rahm or Bryson DeChambeau?
I see your point. Of course, the provisions, should it become a major championship, should work to include the top ranked players in the world, regardless of where they play. It's obviously not currently recognized as a major championship, but in my eyes, over the duration of the Players' Championship, particularly since it moved to the TPC Sawgrass, it has, and I look at Data Golf because the official World Golf Rankings are not the best source to look at who's most likely to play well next week. There are all kinds of flaws in the official World Golf Rankings that are not there in Data Golf. Data Golf consistently ranks the TPC or the Players' Championship as the best field in golf. And then from a difficulty of golf course from a shot value standpoint, I think it's a tremendous golf course. And based upon, Tiger Woods successfully defended 24 times in his career, which is an amazing statistic. But he never did it at the Players' Championship. He only won 2 of them. And there's only been one player who ever has successfully defended it. So, these are objective criteria, but I would argue that if a major championship is defined by, yes, history and legacy and tradition, but also it should be defined by who annually plays, which tournament annually has the best field, and which tournament annually tests the best field with the most stringent test. And, at a bare minimum, that's what major championships should do. And they do it. I mean, most of the major championships give us the toughest golf courses of the year, but they don't give us the best fields. And the Players' Championship does that.
So I agree. So if the players, because they're obviously pushing this, March is going to be major, right? There's this new marketing campaign. I'm seeing all these, right? They got to invite the top 5 live. Wouldn't that be such a flex to say, hey, we've got this incredible tournament. I know all of you want to play. You guys are invited.
Yeah, they'll figure out a way to do that. If, in fact, they do make it a major, which they have the power to do. They could just say it's a major championship. Nobody, yes, of course, there would be some arguing and bitter discussions going back and forth. But in time, it would elevate that tournament to the status of a major championship, which would add another phenomenal week to the PGA Tour. And at any one time, there's been upwards of 7 major championships in the men's game. 7. It wasn't that long ago that there were 6. So this debate about there should only be 4, there's always been 4 is flawed. There's far from there's always been 4. There was 1, and then 2, then 3, 4, then 5, 6, then 7, and then 6, and then somewhere in the mid '90s they just took Jack Nicklaus's amateur championships away from him and said, "You're back to 18. You no longer have 20." The numbers always evolved. And I don't know why we're hard and fast set on 4 major championships. When one, clearly, we're never going to duplicate the aesthetics or the drama of the back 9 at Augusta National. I get it. We're there to celebrate the legacy of Bobby Jones. There's nothing like the Masters. Similarly, there's nothing as difficult as the U.S. Open. The Open pays homage to the roots of the game of golf. The PGA pays homage to golf professionals. They all have their unique characteristics, which make them indelible to us. But the Players, in my view, stands above the others in terms of annually testing the best field with a golf course that more completely tests the players without in any way, shape, or form manipulating the setup of the golf course. It's not long. They don't rely on thick rough. They don't have a 1-week only setup. And annually, it provides a stringent and thorough test to the best players of golf. And then as a kicker, I think from a nerve standpoint, it puts them on edge almost unlike any other venue. Maybe you could find some venues that offer a nerve test similar to playing 17 and 18 coming down the stretch. Yeah, of course, I'm sure you could. But year in and year out, you can't deny that is a nerve-wracking test.
Absolutely. You mentioned that the course has flummoxed a lot of the, people haven't been able to defend there. I was looking at a stat the other day. Riviera, okay? So Riviera, Tiger Woods, Scottie Scheffler, and Rory McIlroy have now combined to make 29 starts at Riviera without a victory. The next highest course on that list is TPC Southwind. At 17, I think it is combined start. Any idea why Riviera has had this vexing effect on the best players of our generation?
Well, with Tiger, I think as it relates to Tiger, and Phil did win there. I think it's a difficult golf course to come out of the trees on because you can't run it up to Kikuyu. It's not conducive to that style of scrambling, and I think it's also a tribute. As much as I've had fun debating some no laying up guys. They're smart guys. They know their golf. I've had fun debating, at least on social media here and there and in person, some of the fried egg guys about the importance of angles. That, my point is nobody's good enough to chase an angle. You end up with an angle by accident. Nobody is good enough to chase an angle. Nobody would risk a dispersion cone of their misses to gain an angle. Nobody would. But I'm not saying that angle is not important at Riviera. It depends on the right at 3, and you drive it in the right rough, and you go anywhere near that, you're not going to hit that green. You're just not going to hit it. If you're down the left side, you got a chance to hit it. The greens are so small and so protective. And I don't, with Scottie, I'd say it's a small sample size. If you played there 10 times, Scottie's going to win 3 of them at this point. I say it's a small sample size. Rory drives it in the rough a lot, and he's not great out of the rough. Tiger drove it in the rough a lot, and I'd say it's hard to scramble at Riviera out of the rough. You can't run it up in Kikuyu. You hit it short, it stops. You land it on the green, it goes over. So, those are about the only way I think you could argue that point. Having said that, Tiger played some good golf there. I think it's more important or more bizarre to me that Jack Nicklaus didn't win there. Because Jack, again, we don't have data. I wish we did. But just on the data we have from him from 1980, nobody's ever hit it as long or as straight as Jack Nicklaus. And that, by a long way, includes Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler and any other great driver that you could throw up in the last almost 50 years.
What did you make of Anthony Kim's victory? I know you have been, and I admire your sort of moral courage and how strong you've been on the LIV issue. That story seemed to supersede the LIV dialogue. And I think the reason why is because it wasn't really about Liv. It was heart. It was about, it was a human story. And so I feel like that was Liv's biggest moment. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh, without question, I think it was. I think everybody loves an underdog story, and you'd be hard pressed to find a bigger underdog than him. Addiction, demons, self-sabotage, you name it. He seems to have gone through it all. And then when he got out there, he was dead less. There's always been a sort of a fascination with him because he had a bravado about him. He used to work with the same coach that I worked with, Adam Schreiber. I remember being on the range once, hitting balls at PGA West on the back of the range with Adam. And Adam said to me, you got to come watch this. I think he was 11 at the time, 11 or 12 years old. You got to come watch this little kid that I'm working with. And I went over and I stood behind him, and he hit, several tee shots. And he turned around and said, who's going to beat me? And
as an 11-year-old kid, and are you playing on the big tour at this point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd have been, I don't know, 60th in the world or something at this point, or 50th in the world, 50, somewhere in there. I mean, I was playing some good golf at this time. And I can remember thinking to myself, I didn't play golf at 11 or 12, but I can remember being on the range when I got invited to play Colonial when I was 19 or 20. 20. I got invited to play Colonial. I can remember being on the range, and I mean, I thought I was a hell of a player then. I was in the top 5 amateur ranked players in the country. I couldn't imagine saying something like that to a professional.
That's a crazy thing to say.
And I mean, he didn't know me from Adam, but the bravado. And I just thought, well, and look, I mean, bravado is, if you can back it up, and he could back it up. I mean, he was a very good player. He was an exciting player. But he fought his demons, and not everybody's blessed with a great environment to grow up in. And if you are, you hit the lottery, if you've got good parents and a good place to grow up and a stable environment, you hit the lottery. And I don't know that he did. And, that echoes into the future. And so for him to turn his life around and come back and win the way he won, I think it resonated. It's never going to change the way I feel about Liv or where the money comes from or the fact that they are legitimizing just a horrific regime through their efforts. I don't think there's anything valorous about that. But the actual comeback story of what he did, it resonated. It's Liv is what it is. It's not a strong field. I mean, you can just look at data golf. That field was 1/4 as strong as the AT&T, But, coming down the stretch, Rahm was in the mix and Bryson DeChambeau was in the mix. So I understand why it resonated. And it was never quit. I think that's what he said afterwards. Of course, that's a great message. I always say that whenever I talk to young kids and they ask what it takes to get on the PGA Tour, I'm like, well, talent is kind of a given. But really, it's just perseverance. You want to get on the PGA Tour, you just cannot quit. And you have to have a very high level of frustration tolerance. And it appears that, he was playing for a higher purpose with his daughter and his wife and his family. So on a lot of levels, it resonated.
So moving topics, Tiger obviously is in a decision process about this Ryder Cup captaincy. I said on the show a couple of weeks ago, it doesn't feel like the right time with how much he's doing with the PGA Tour. He's building his Sunday Red brand. It's Charlie's last year, at home before he goes off to Florida State. And I've also said, he's going to do it once, right? So timing is everything. Do you think Tiger should take the captaincy, or does it make more sense for him to wait to 2029 when it's at home, when Charlie's off to college?
Yeah, I think the next captain should be Justin Leonard. Tiger's got plenty of time to be the next captain or to be a captain, and he should probably do it more than once. I think he's too busy with the governance of the PGA Tour. You mentioned Charlie being at home. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with that. I think he probably wants to play a little on the PGA Tour champions. He's got bigger fish to fry right now than taking over the Ryder Cup. And the right thing to do is to make Justin Leonard the captain. They missed the boat when they did it with Larry Nelson. And, they tried to pay homage to Larry this past year, and I'm sure it meant a lot to Larry. but it was too little too late as it relates to Larry. And with Justin, you tell me an American player, because we don't have heroes in the Ryder Cup, but you tell me an American player that has hit a more memorable shot than Justin Leonard. Justin Leonard won the U.S. Amateur, the NCAA Major Championship, the Players Championship, has handled himself with class, is really thoughtful. He comes closest in all of those sort of metrics, in tangibles and intangibles, to being Paul McGinley to me. And, Paul McGinley, Luke Donald, Europe has been blessed with a lot of great captains. But that's who Justin Leonard is to me. And it is one clear choice for the next Ryder Cup captain, and it's Justin Leonard, because clearly Tiger Woods is not there yet. If Tiger Woods were there yet, of course, Tiger Woods should get it in perpetuity as long as he wants it. But I just think he's too busy with the governance of the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Well, I just want to thank you for coming on. I'm going to let you go, but I just want to thank you for all your work, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So the good news is that's only part one.
Yeah.
We have a whole second act that's actually longer. I think that one was like 16 minutes. We got 25 more minutes. We'll deliver that to you guys on Wednesday. You say what you want about Brandel. He inspires a lot of strong feelings on both sides, but you can't say that he's not a good storyteller. You can't say that he's not prepared. You can't say that he doesn't, work his ass off to deliver a good product.
He's one of the more impressive people on the beats that we're on.
Yeah.
And you can tell he'll whip out that Jack Nicklaus stat that we're all thinking about Tiger and Scotty, and he'll be like, oh, well, Gene Sarazen did this, and you're like, oh, okay. That puts things in context in a whole new way.
It gives me hope for that I'm going to become a better analyst or whatever as I age. You get more perspective. All right, we have part 2 of that interview on Wednesday. Really excited for that. I'm also excited for the Dankings, my rankings of things in the world of golf based on one man's opinion. We got an interesting one today. We've done a lot of tour stuff, best courses on tour, best tournaments, courses I want to win at, best players on tour. We're moving away from the tour stuff for this week, and we're moving into sort of recreational golf. We are going to be ranking the most brutal golf one-liners. We're ranking them in descending order in terms of insufferability. So 10, kind of funny. Okay, 1 makes your ears bleed.
Burn it.
Number 10, my dad's been whipping this out a lot. You hit a shot, to 20 feet. Someone else hits a shot to 21 feet on the same line, and my dad goes, "That's a Bernie Sanders. Free education."
I've heard your dad say that before.
It's pretty funny. I don't mind. That's number 10. Number 9, you got a putt that breaks just a little bit to the right, so you want to do a Lance Armstrong. You want to aim it 1 ball left. Still like that one?
1 ball left.
Yeah, it just he only has one ball left. 1 ball left of the hole. Number 8, that's a Saddam Hussein. Bunker to bunker.
Bunker to bunker.
Classic one.
One of my stepdad's favorites.
Now we're, I still like this one, number 7. You're a big fan of this one. You hit one, maybe you kind of forehead an iron shot, but it lands on the front of the green and cozies up there to a back pin. It's an O.J. Simpson. You got away with one.
Yeah.
Still pretty decent. Now we're getting to be a little annoying. Number 6, you're on a hole with out of bounds right. You hit a big slice out of bounds. Then you hit your next one straight down the fairway. Second team All-American. That one pisses me off because I just hit one out of bounds.
The player B guy.
Yeah, player B. Exactly. It's the same thing. I'm putting player B / second team All-American. Number 5. Number 5. You hit one. You hit it fat. It goes really high. It's short of the green. It's an elephant's asshole, high and stinky.
I've never heard that.
You like that? Yeah, because an asshole's kind of high and it
holds up.
But again, I just don't like when you make these jokes after someone does something bad. If the last thing you want to hear is when someone.
There are certain people where you could say that to me. I could say that to you, maybe.
Yeah, but you got to know your audience for that one. Number 4. Another personal insult. Your buddy hits a good tee shot, and you hit one 30 yards by him. Did you hear about the new Walmart that's being built between my ball and yours? That's a tough one.
Tough. At least say Costco now.
Yeah, they say Costco. Yeah, Walmart feels a little dated.
Yeah.
Number 3, you take a massive chunk out of the earth. You could serve chips out of that divot. No, you couldn't. No. That would be just highly,
There'd be dirt all
It'd be
over
unsanitary.
Yeah.
And also, it's just not. You serve 2 chips out of it, maybe, but they'd be stinky and dirty chips.
You know what kind of chemicals?
Exactly. Another great point. There's chemicals on golf courses. You do not want your chips. If you take a divot out, don't put chips in it.
Don't.
Number 2, this one always pisses me off. Trees are 90% air because I feel like that's just not true. What do you mean? Maybe if you count like the oxygen content within the leaves, but not the kind of trees I see on golf courses.
That's part of the tree erasure agenda that we were trying to combat.
100%. Trees are not 90% air. Trees are an obstacle out there, and we should stop vilifying them in the game of golf.
They're like 15% air at best.
The number one most insufferable golf one-liner. Maybe you're on the first tee, you're a little nervous, your hands are shaking a little bit, you accidentally knock it off the tee, and everyone's looking around like, don't say it, don't say it. And then that one guy just goes, one. Just brutal.
You know why that one burns so much?
Why?
Because it's an actual penalty if you're a real ball knower, and like that's
if you knock it off a tee accidentally, it's not a penalty.
Oh, it isn't.
It is not a penalty. So that's why I actually think it's worse, because it's factually incorrect.
If it were, that would make it sting, because you don't know if that guy's like actually calling it on you or not. But that makes.
But I mean, everyone's had that situation where you do it and everyone's like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, and then one person always says it.
How's that not? And now I'm remembering Zach Johnson like doing this a bunch of times.
Yeah, Zach Johnson hitting it accidentally on the 13th tee at Augusta, and then looking around like, did anyone see that?
I just don't know how that's not.
Yeah, especially because like if you address the ball and when it's not on a tee and you cause it to move,
if
that is a penalty.
Do that in the rough.
Well, we told our story of the dog of the week. My boy Daniel Wagman. That's exactly what happened. He was addressing the ball in the fairway and he accidentally moved it like 3 inches, and it was a penalty. So you're right. It's peculiar. It's factually incorrect. It's peculiar. It's cringy. It's overused. It's trite. It's hackneyed. It's cliched. And it brings up kind of the vagaries of the golf rule book that we don't really like. So those are our top 10 most brutal golf one-liners. We hope you enjoyed that. We're going to bring on our guy, Rick Gehman. He's been traveling a lot, but he's joining us live on the show. Rick, were you riding Shane Lowry? What did you make of yesterday?
Well, first off, I'm completely triggered after that one-liner conversation. It's like so much to hate about that. You know what? I was actually quite high on Nico.
Hey.
I did not get an outright on him, but I had a couple of finishing positions. I played him. I'm in a lot of one and dones. He was not my. I had probably him and Shane Lowry each in one and done. So it was an okay fit. Listen, the way it went down, I did not see coming, obviously. And Shane has had his troubles on the back nine at PGA National, but it's nice to see that Nico, who always models well, boys, right? Like that's the way that I do this, because when he's in contention, he closes. So he always models probably a little bit better than his peers. So yeah, it was nice to see him get the job done.
You know what I like about you is that you put your money where your mouth is. You know, I think there's some golf betting content people who they make their picks, but they don't actually, put their own money on it. How many bets, how many wagers, how many one and dones, like how many picks are you making per week?
One and done has gotten out of control. So I think this year, I have like 12 different one and done entries that I need to make picks on for each week. And then for wagers, so for betting, right? Like the way that I do it is 80% of my bets are usually like finishing positions. So that's probably 6 to 10 different finishing positions, and then a handful of matchups, and then usually just a couple of outrights, and then fantasy lineups, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I sit down on Wednesday and I crank through everything.
I love it.
It's like, really only this, but there's this, there's this, and then the 12.
So we've seen a lot of low scores on the PGA Tour. 7 events. I think the average winning score is probably around 19 under now, something like that. We're not expecting that this week. Run me through kind of the 30,000 foot overview of Bay Hill, and then tell me who thinks going to win the tournament.
Right. So third most difficult non-major from last year, thick rough everywhere. The thing that pops to mind first is when you miss the fairway at Bay Hill, it's 0.4 of a stroke penalty. That's a lot.
Okay? Give me a comparison for like a normal PGA Tour course.
Like a quarter of a stroke, 0.25 would be like your normal. Now you got to think this is happening every time you miss a fairway, and that's on average, right? So there are some holes, I don't have it in front of me, but there are some holes where you miss the fairway and it's a half a stroke, which is a massive, massive penalties. Yeah, so this is definitely skewing on that side of things. And then what I think ends up happening is, like, I think Bay Hill does a really good job of compounding errors. You can hit just a slightly below average shot off the tee, you get penalized for that, makes your approach a lot harder. His slightly below average shot there. Now it gets even worse. Like, it just compounds errors shot after shot. You look up from the green, you're like, I didn't play that bad, and I like made like an easy bogey, right? Like it's kind of weird like that. So long story short, my pick to win is Colin Morikawa.
You like him going, another signature event W.
Okay. He's playing great golf, needless to say. He's doing it the way he wants to do it, which is just tee to greening, approaching, ball striking these courses to death. He's picked up 18 strokes from tee to green in his last 12 rounds. He's got a win and a T7 in there. Outside of the 6 holes that he played Saturday morning at Riv, he was like the best player in the field that week. I mean, he just coughed it up in a 5 or 6 hole stretch. So I think like 139 of his last 144 holes have been fantastic. He is going to get a big benefit playing out of the fairway. But even if he does not, he is just as good relative to his peers from fairway to rough. So it's not a big deal if he misses the rough. It's a huge advantage if he does hit the fairway. Finished runner up here last year. He's 30-1 at this event. It's Colin Morikawa for me.
All right, give us a top 10 pick.
Hideki. Yeah, so this is kind of weird. We've seen Hideki put together a stat profile that's a little bit unusual. He's gaining 10 strokes putting over his last 12 rounds, and his ball striking, or at least the driver, has been a little bit suspect. If I'm waiting on Hideki's ball striking to come around, I'm not going to be waiting very long, okay? Because he is an elite flusher, generational flusher. I think, again, his numbers are often just too long. He's a little bit disrespected. His top 10 number is plus 210, and I think Hideki continues his great play, which he's gotten very little out of this year, and he's got basically nothing but top 15s in that runner-up.
And then a top 20 pick to round us out.
I don't think we've mentioned this name often, but it's Ricky Fowler. Yeah, I know. And top 20, listen, it's a 70-some-odd player field, little baby cut, like just get yourself into the weekend and see what happens. He's having the second best putting year of his career, 0.7 strokes to the positive per round. It's early, but it's his best since 2017. And Ricky has always gone as the putter goes. When that part of his game is working, it just goes throughout the bag. He's got 6 straight top 30s, ton of experience around Bay Hill. Ricky Fowler finished inside the top 20s, plus 134. So that's my pick.
I love it. Rick, you're the best in the business. Are you going to be at Bay Hill? Are you doing the bet stream? What's your plan this week?
Yeah, bet stream for the next 2 weeks.
Nice.
So Bay Hill players now, I'll be in Ponte Vedra for both. So I'll be out at Sawgrass very early in the week. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out there, I assume.
Sure.
And there's like that back entrance outside the studios that drops you right off on like the 16th green or whatever. So I'll be sneaking in and out all week long. I'm looking forward to it.
I think we're going to have to do random player generator.
Oh, yeah, we got to.
Players week.
Let's do it.
I'll be there I'll have nothing to do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm ready.
That means you got to rank them though first.
No, it doesn't.
How do we get the numbers?
We can just do the data golf. There's a lot of different ways. We appreciate you. Thank you so much, Rick.
All right, guys. See ya.
Very excited for this next interview. This is one of my favorite people on social media. It's a private equity guy. No, he's a great guy. I'm kidding. I got to pick up the kiddos. Andy, our producer, who's just on the other side of that door, actually used to work with him at the Ellen DeGeneres show way back in the day. So it's a full circle moment. And, I just wanted to pick his brain. I feel like there's a lot of overlap between, private equity and golf. I wanted to ask him about the state of pro golf, the state of the battle of PGA Tour versus Live and his own golf game. So welcome to the show, PE guy. My first question for you. How is your own golf game? And where are you playing most of your rounds?
Oh, well, I mean, my golf game is, it's always been pretty substantial. So I'm a wonderful golfer. I'm a scratch golfer. So I've been playing since I was 3.5 years old at the finest clubs across the country and technically the globe. So, most of my rounds are played at private clubs that I belong to or that my business associates belong to. So these are clubs that are extremely exclusive and difficult to get into. So places that don't allow cell phones or photographs to be taken. So lots of high net worth individuals are fellow members. So...
Yeah, no, I got to think a guy like you is probably doing a lot of business on the golf course. You closing deals out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, so tons of deal flow happens on the course. But, I explain this to somebody who's I call them normies with salary caps. It's difficult. It's difficult to explain this to somebody who's got a salary cap. On the course, I'm not really closing deals. I'm kind of pressure testing relationships. So, seeing how a buddy or potential business partner or someone I'm going to sign a deal with is reacting to a missed 3-footer on 16. If they're spiraling, I'm not going to wire them 9 figures. Golf reveals character. So it's a different kind of deal flow than people would assume. But yeah,
he's pressure testing. I wanted to ask you, in the last couple of years, there's been the emergence of a top dog on the PGA Tour. It's but first, before we get into that, what do you make of the whole PGA Tour versus Live situation? Because if you peel one layer back, the Public Investment Fund, they're involved in a lot of things. So I got to think that you've had some dealings with the PIF and Yasser in your world.
Yeah, so I've got to be careful how I answer this one, obviously due to my role. So I've got a tremendous stake in both, but I'm far too well media trained to give you a full detailed answer on that question. But I will say competition is healthy. So no matter how you slice it. Yeah, and I'll also say nobody involved is doing this for the love of the game, and that's fine.
Okay. So speaking of that top dog that I mentioned there, have you been lucky enough to meet or spend any time with Scotty Scheffler? I would think that maybe you guys have some mutual friends in sort of the Dallas executive scene.
Yeah, so Scotty's a dear friend. He's great. Very, very centered. He's actually technically my son Tarantino's swing coach, but we don't tell anyone that. So we'll keep that between us. Yeah, so we obviously have overlapping circles as well. Because Dallas is a very, very small town. So especially if you run in these circles like oil, real estate, faith-based fitness, private aviation, PE, private equity. So Mark Cuban's a dear friend as well. So you bump into enough of the same names on charity events, it all eventually connects. So, yeah. So.
Faith-based fitness. What is your ideal golf day? Are we talking, drinks before, after? I'd have to think that you have to fit in picking up your kiddos.
Right. Yeah. So, the ideal day is an early tee time, really early, before you're even allowed to be on the course, really, technically for me. And that's after my cold brew power walk, a little light workout beforehand, nothing too heavy. Drinks after, of course. Yeah. So Macallan 30, splash of water. I typically fast until supper time, so no food for me. And as for the kiddos, we've got a tremendous staff of nannies at the house, so I wouldn't know where to pick them up if I had to. Yeah, it's just, it takes a village, they say, right?
Oh, that's the hardest I've laughed on this show in a while. I want to thank you for your time, PE guy. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Wonderful. Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. Obviously, I'm super busy, so and time is money. So hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and let's get connected on LinkedIn.
Oh. It's better than I could have hoped.
I got to thank PE guy because it's a big day for him. I imagine him and the boys have some tailgating plans at the Seminole Pro, remember?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I would think he's probably there for the drinks
and he
after.
joined us instead. I appreciate that.
Time is money, as he said.
That's right.
All right, Ben, we got to calm down. We got to do a little box breathing. We were laughing really hard there, but we've got a dog race. And you've been doing great on the dog races with the topics so far. We're doing kind of like a this or that format. So run us through our topic today.
All right. So I think sometime in your life, and I don't know if this has already happened to you, but it may happen, you'll find yourself in a bar in a basement. And things might get a little spicy in that bar in a basement. I don't know if you're an Inglourious Basterds fan.
100%. The three versus the three. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if things
I'm a German citizen, bro. It's that movie hits close to home.
If things get a little spicy in that bar and the fight breaks out, I want to know which PGA Tour pro you want to have your back in that fight. Maybe even the fight for you.
Okay. So which pro do I want on my side in a bar fight? I love it. Let's go.
All right. Let's start off with two seasoned guys here. One of them can take 1,000 punches to the core. The other, what he lacks in youth, he remains in grit. He retains in grit. It's Gary Player against Darren Clarke.
Oh, we're going deep here. Gary Player, I'm going to say Gary Player. I would love to see how an 88-year-old or however old he is handles himself in a bar fight, and I would. How box office would it be to see Gary Player give someone a kung fu kick to the chest? So I'm going with Gary Player.
Basically, golf's Bruce Lee.
100%. That's a really good analogy there.
All right, so Gary Player is going to be going up against a man who, you see him in the Oakmont locker room. You don't want to be in his way. Wyndham Clark,
100%. Nothing is sacred. We can, if we need, if he needs to take a bottle of Macallan 30 splash of water off the shelf and bang it over someone's head, he'll do it. I'm going with Wyndham.
Great callback. Okay. The bully of the locker room or just the bully energy of all time in Brooks Koepka? That's a visual intimidation.
Wyndham. I'm going with Wyndham. Yeah, I think Brooks has a lot to lose. He's a father now, right? So, you don't want to get in bar fights when you have children.
Maybe lost some edge.
Yeah, lost a little bit of edge. Brooks Koepka 2019, I might have had a different answer, but I'm sticking with Wyndham.
Okay. Wyndham firing on all cylinders or that scrappy little fucker? Rory McIlroy.
Oh, Wyndham for sure. Rory's,
Oh, that's right. All right. We're going to do Wyndham Clark, and you said Brooks is out, so I'm going to swap Brooks out for Brooks, but make it Jersey strong.
Yeah,
Chris Gotterup.
I'm going with Gotterup on this one.
Okay.
This one, a Jersey Shore veteran. Probably maybe been in the scrap of his own. Went to Rutgers, which is a gritty school, gritty area. Then went down to Oklahoma, had to prove himself as an East Coaster down there in Oklahoma. Kind of Brooks Koepka 2.0, big boy, definitely could take a punch. I'm going with Chris Gotterup.
Yeah, look at that uppercut he's forming right there.
100%.
All right, I'm assuming you're going to take him over that little fucker.
Against Rory McIlroy? Yeah, I mean, I could see. Do you remember dodgeball when they're going over the rules of the fight and someone says, no touching of the face? Mm-hmm. I could see Rory saying, we're about to fight here, but don't scratch my green jacket and don't touch my face. So I'm definitely sticking with Gotterup here.
Okay. Can Chris Gotterup have your back, or are you going to take the risk that this man might run away? There's a 50-50 shot. Bryson DeChambeau.
Definitely Gotterup. I mean, Bryson probably live streamed the whole thing. It would go all over the internet. A bar fight. There's something sacred about a bar fight, and it stays in the bar. So I'm definitely going with Chris Gotterup.
Okay, Chris Gotterup or golf's real life Game of Thrones character Tyrrell Hatton. Ruthless.
I'm going with Tyrrell. I think he might have some brass knuckles in his pocket. He probably hits himself in the face when he makes a bogey with him. Yeah. So I think he with that beard, he might be hiding a pitchfork in there. I'm going with Tyrrell Hatton.
I thought you might say that, which sets up the battle of the beards. A man who has got a little extra rage happening right now, Shane Lowry.
Oh no, Shane is a lovely. He's a soft guy at the end of the day.
Built for pub warfare, though.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he is Irish. Probably has a little bit of experience, holding himself in a bar. But I'm sticking with Tyrrell. I think Shane definitely is an emotional guy, runs hot. But I think people get a lot wrong about Shane. I don't think he'd be nearly as drunk as people think. And I think Tyrrell would be willing to go places that Shane isn't.
Okay, last battle here. Do you want Tyrrell, or do you want a man who's been there before, probably, in Jake Knapp?
Oh, the bouncer himself. I'm going with Jake. I'm going with the biceps. I'm going with the experience. I know he loves when we talk about his stint as a nightclub bouncer.
There he is asking someone to step back, don't enter.
Hey, relax, buddy.
Hey, relax.
All right, just take a lap, okay? Take a lap here. Yeah, I mean, it's funny the way that the media talks about him being a nightclub bouncer. Like he was just a nightclub bouncer, and then all of a sudden one day decided that he was trying to be a professional golfer. Like he was a great player at UCLA.
Old, yeah.
But I'm going with Knapp. He's got the tattoos. He wears a black T-shirt well. I'm going with Jake Knapp. Jake Knapp would be my pick for a bar fight to be on my side.
Number 1 seed wins.
Good stuff.
Dig it.
I appreciate it. We are going to move into Chirps from the Gallery. A great week from the golf internet. Not such a great week though. This video made my blood boil. I guess golf is fascist now. Let's roll this one.
I don't care. Playing golf in the United States is fascist behavior. Using up all the water, using up all the land, getting fucked up with your bros to talk business on a course. I'm sorry, it's fashy. It's real fashy. Abolish golf courses. The worst people I've ever met in my life play golf all the fucking time. And it's like, well, why play golf when you can just yourself?
Well, that got a little serious there at the end.
I reserve my right to do both of those things.
Yeah, they're not mutually exclusive.
Second of all, if you're talking about waste, what about that LED light shining behind our?
You know what I'm saying? That's a woman there who's never dew swept with the boys and made a birdie on their first hole and just been
never dew swept.
She's just never dew swept with the boys. Don't knock it till you try it. There was this trend going on about what you do in real life and kind of what you say on LinkedIn. And I got to hand it to Crushers GC over there on Live. They had a great one. Let's roll it. Let's put this up with Bryson DeChambeau. So in reality, he says, I hit a golf ball. On LinkedIn, he said, I recently had the opportunity to leverage a high-efficiency rotational swing framework to execute a ground impact optimization initiative, successfully propelling a dimpled performance sphere. Really well put. Really well written.
Eloquent.
No notes. A lot of talk about Charlie Woods. Charlie Woods and Bennett Scheffler, there's a little bit of an age gap there. I think they're probably about 16 years apart. But so they just announced that there's going to be the 2045 U.S. Open at Oakland Hills, at Inverness in Ohio. And whenever they announce something like this that's so far in the future, I think, am I going to be there? Am I going to be 2045? I'll be 51 years old, which is crazy to think. But Jake Weaver says it's going to be exciting to watch a 30-something Charlie Woods battle young amateur Bennett Scheffler down the stretch. Can we get Crew Koepka in the mix, maybe?
Oh, yeah.
Make it a whole next generation. This was from Data Golf. Really a tough one on Shane Lowry. We're going back. We started with Shane. We're kind of going back to Shane. Data Golf says early candidate for collapse of the year from Lowry. He had a 96.7% chance to win standing on 16T and a 0% chance just 30 minutes later. It's crazy when you put it into numbers like that. Speaking of Shane Lowry, we were all kind of, the golf internet was hypothesizing whether Shane was going to actually step to the microphone, and someone had a pretty good idea. It was Shane Ryan. If Lowry manages to lose this tournament, an interesting first question to ask at his presser would be, what is it like to be friends with Rory McIlroy? This is obviously a callback to last year at the Masters when Shane made a mess on the back nine, and they asked him about Rory. He's like, I'm not going to talk about Rory. You guys want me to sit here and talk about Rory? I'm trying to win the tournament myself. And then one more for Shane. This was a graphic of every tee shot on 16.
Oh, my God.
And the white dot is Shane Lowry. I believe it was the only tee shot in the water on 16. There's so much room right. You can see there's a whole cutout for balls that miss right. You're not supposed to be able to hit it in the water really on that hole, especially not with an iron in your hand. So a brutal end. That was from Shane Bacon. Before we go, we'll talk about Zone Nicotine. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Underage sale prohibited. Golf is all about having the right club for the right situation. Shane Lowry could have used that. Same goes for Zone Nicotine pouches, offering a variety of bold flavors available in strengths of 6 milligrams and 9 milligrams. Whether you're a fan of mint, citrus, subtle, or spicy, I'm going with the wintergreen today. You're sure to find intensity and flavor that last. If you want Zone Nicotine pouches at a discount mailed right to your door, get 20% off at nicokick.com/zone when you use promo code DanOnGolf20. Quick programming note, I am off to Bay Hill right after this show, but we are doing a Wednesday show from Bay Hill. We'll have part 2 of Brandel and some other interviews on there, which is always very exciting for the Wednesday show. And then we'll be back for the watch along on Sunday, but I'll tell you guys that again on Wednesday. We're going to leave you with our clip of the week. The Lakers played. They beat the shit out of the Warriors, and LeBron is in his full MJ era. But there's a crucial difference. MJ was good at golf. LeBron played Olympic Club. It didn't go so hot. Here's our clip of the week. We'll see all of you on Wednesday.